So the Miami New Times, which is the alternative newspaper or publication down here in Miami-Dade County, they came out with a ranking of which neighborhoods in Miami-Dade County have the boldest. They call it boldest. Let's call them the toughest chickens. We have a problem in Miami-Dade County with wild chickens roaming
Well, yeah,
everywhere.
problem. Why problem? What did you say problem?
Well, we
It's
have
a
an issue.
feature. It's a feature.
It's an amenity. You're right. It's a feature. So we have flocks of chickens that are all over. So Little Havana has its own. The chickens in Little Havana have a vibe. The chickens in Little Haiti have a vibe. Those in Coconut Grove and Coral Gables, they have to deal with the peacocks, which are also wild. So then you get into downtown Miami and Brickell. They have their own chickens and all these different personalities of chickens and neighborhoods. Alapata, which is an area just north of the river in and around Jackson Hospital, that medical center. So the New Times went ahead and they ranked the chickens in terms of which ones were the boldest. And the question they ask is, if there was an apocalypse or if there was a Mad Max type of situation, you all remember that movie, from Australia where there's no water and it's like roaming bandits going around. Which flock of chickens would do the best? And it got us thinking. When you go to Little Havana and you go to parts of Miami, back like in the early 2000s, I think it was Chicago, they came out with this idea where they put cows outside of buildings. It was public art. It was a movement towards public art. Many cities then followed, and you had
Oh, we had flamingos, didn't we?
Miami Beach had flamingos, and city of Miami adopted the rooster. So they have the rooster there. So the rooster really is symbiotic with Miami and the wild chickens. Key West will claim that their chickens are better than any of the chickens that are up here in the Miami-Dade County area,
They're
given the fact
saltier
that
for sure.
saltier for sure. So the question for everybody to sort of contemplate as you see these wild chickens roaming everywhere is which neighborhood has the most refined chickens and which ones would have the roughest chickens. And we have a local historian. This gentleman is highly acclaimed. He's called Paul George, Dr. Paul George. He used to teach at Miami-Dade College. He does walking tours. Anybody coming to Miami for South during the winter buying season, look up Paul George. He does these walking tours. I highly recommend you go to these tours. He's actually quoted. He's actually quoted in the New Times story. They go to this historian, legendary historian of Miami, talking about the chickens in the different neighborhoods, and he makes the case that the peacocks that are wild, they don't get along with the chickens, but the peacocks are definitely they're not liked by the residents because they make loud noises where the chickens don't.
Oh,
The chickens
do they
simply
make
wander around.
loud noises? Those peacocks, they've jumped on my roof before.
I'm sure they have, and I'm sure they left a mark.
They have talons, Pete.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
Oh
do.
yeah,
Yes,
they're,
they
they're
do.
like they're like velociraptors with pretty colors. People who move here from the Northeast and see peacocks just roaming around for the first time, and then they sprawl up their wings like that. It's funny to see somebody see it for the first time, and I'm just thinking, oh, they just crap everywhere.
That they do. And if I could just add one point about these chickens is uh, uh, I made a call to the county and I asked them, there's wild chickens everywhere. How do you sort of deal with them? Can I shoot them? This was a joke. I don't have a gun. Can I shoot them? And they said, no, 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 no. We'll send out animal control. I said, okay, well, walk me through it. How does it work? They said, well, what we'll do is we'll put a bunch of guys and women in a van. We'll drive around in the neighborhood. And when we see them, everybody will jump out of the van and they'll chase them with nets and they'll catch them. And this is how they eradicate the chickens. And I thought it was all BS. I
It's like a
thought the
Looney Tunes
person,
commercial.
yeah, I thought the person at the county was BSing me. Fast forward a year or two, I see two guys running down the middle of the street with fishing nets. The ones that kind of go up. They got the
Yeah, the
circular, like if you're going to
telescopic
bring in
fishing
a.
nets. Yeah.
They're chasing the chickens down the street. They actually cornered one with the net, and this is how they catch the chickens. This is why we're never going to eradicate chickens here because they have guys
This
running
is
down the street with nets trying to catch chicken.
what here's and to close the show, I want to know how they catch their chickens in Milan because that's the real cultured. That's the real global traveler. Does
Says
Milan even have a
Moishimana.
chicken problem? Apparently not. They're too sophisticated to have chickens. I think we should embrace the chickens. It is what it is. Why? What's the origin of this? Is it because all the cockfighting was very popular in the '80s and it just kind of spread?
Well, the New Times piece gets into that. They talk about like in Hialeah. Hialeah is one of the areas they say the Hialeah chickens, the wild chickens, those are the ones that escape from people's yards. So they were actually there performing a service with the eggs and everything, versus the chickens that are in the Gables and in Miami and downtown Miami. These are much more like rogue chickens. And by the way, they say Little Havana, the chickens and the roosters there are the boldest of them all, and they have swagger unlike any other chickens elsewhere. While the ones in Little Haiti, they're more so on the edges, and and they sort of pop in and pop out. Where in Little Havana, the chickens walk around and they like to be photographed. So just something to keep in mind. Much like the Key West chickens.
Our local chicken authority, Peter Zalewski. But if you want to buy a condo, you can also go on one of his walking tours at miamicondo.club. And with that, everybody, wait, I guess we're a buy? We're just universally, ubiquitously a buy? That wasn't even a question. I just wanted to let you talk about the chickens.
I am definitely a buy. I think
I'm
it's part
I'm
of
a
the
buy
best
on
condo.
Peter's chickens because it's the holidays.